Hey, how's everybody doing tonight? So I've been thinking about this topic for a while now, and I first became interested in this years ago. But could a piece of technology exist that allows you to view and manipulate historical events, travel through time, and even have tracking abilities that no one believes is possible? Well, tonight let's take some time and see what happens when you go through the looking glass. The earliest reference to the kind of technology discussed in Project Looking Glass actually comes from Italy in the 1950s. A Dominican priest named Father Pellegrino Ernetti invented a chronovisor by electronically modifying the frequencies of chants by Benedictine monks. So, in the early 1960s, Father Ernetti began to study the writings of Francois Brunet, himself a Roman Catholic priest. Ernetti allegedly helped Brunet construct a machine as members of a team that included 12 world-famous scientists. He identified two of them as Enrico Fermi and Wernher von Braun. Enrico Fermi is most notably a physicist and the creator of the world's first nuclear reactor. He has been called the architect of the nuclear age and the architect of the atomic bomb. And Wernher von Braun was a leading figure in the development of rocket technology in Nazi Germany, and a pioneer of rocket and space technology in the United States. It is also rumored that he has ties directly to the Nazi UFO program and the development of the infamous Bell craft. The chronovisor was described as a large cabinet with a cathode ray tube for viewing the received events, and it is comprised of a series of buttons and other controls for selecting the time and the location to be viewed. It is also said that it could locate and track specific individuals. According to its inventor, it worked by receiving, decoding, and reproducing the electromagnetic radiation that was left behind from past events. What I found surprising is that it could also pick up the audio component or sound waves emitted by these same events, which basically means he could insert himself into these historical scenes and experience them as if he was there, seeing it all and hearing everything. Father Ernetti said that he had witnessed, among other scenes, a performance in Rome in 169 BC of the lost tragedy Thyestes by the father of Latin poetry, Quintus Ennius. He also claimed that he went back in time to witness Christ's crucifixion, and he actually photographed it as well. A potential copy of this image appeared in the May 2, 1972 issue of an Italian weekly news magazine. In the book by Peter Krasa, Father Ernetti's Chronovisor, The Creation and Disappearance of the World's First Time Machine, he investigates Ernetti's amazing discovery. He explains how the technology was turned over to the Vatican hierarchy, which in turn passed it on to the CIA. It's worth emphasizing that the then chief of the CIA Counterintelligence Division, James Jesus Angleton, handled both the Vatican and the Israeli desk during his long service from 1954 to 1975. From here, we have to establish the connection between the military-industrial complex and the Vatican. Archbishop Carlo Vigano actually wrote about this in a warning to Donald Trump. With these words of the US CCB, the Pactum Solaris, a plot to commit a crime between the deep state and the deep church, is confirmed and sealed. The enslavement of the highest levels of the Catholic hierarchy to the New World Order, denying the teachings of Christ and the doctrine of the Church. Now, I believe I'll be covering that subject in another video, but let me know if you would find that interesting. So it is suggested that the corrupt actors within the United States government visited the Vatican to run tests on the device, and from there, they reverse engineered the technology in order to develop their own. The stated purpose of the project was to use the machine for unimaginable economic gains and to manipulate the market to their advantage. But once they realized the full scope of the technology, things took a turn. Given that the CIA is the key agency for raising black budget funds for the entire military-industrial complex, it would have been easy to siphon off sufficient funds to conduct its own Project Looking Glass. Now I might butcher the pronunciation, but according to Andrew Basiago, a practicing attorney, this is precisely what occurred. He says that he was involved in Project Pegasus from 1967 to 1971, when he was just 6 years old. He says that the chronovisor developed by Father Ernetti was refined by the CIA in collaboration with the then Advanced Research Projects Agency, which is now DARPA. Basiago claims that in 1970, he and other Project Pegasus child participants visited various classified facilities that were hosting chronovisors. In the fall of 1970, the children in my group first began assessing past and future events via third and fourth dimensional chronovisors. They were situated in 3 locations. The first at the General Manufacturing Company in Convent Station, New Jersey. The second, a public auditorium under construction in Morristown, New Jersey. And the third was located at the ITT Defense Communications Facility in Nutley, New Jersey. The man's assertion of visiting a classified facility run by ITT received surprising corroboration by no less than someone that I'm a huge fan of. I used to listen to his radio show all the time when I was coming home from work, Art Bell, who at the time was apparently employed by ITT in a classified NATO communications project. This was information that Bell had never before publicly revealed. He was clearly shocked, as Basiago revealed during a live radio interview on August 14, 2015. He also asserts that the chronovisor technology was just one among many ways the CIA and its intelligence partners could view the past and future to gain intelligence data and to attempt to manipulate history through time travel experiments. Now, the first public reference to Project Looking Glass actually comes from legendary UFO whistleblower Bob Lazar, back when he first emerged into the public realm in 1989, when he identified it as one of the classified projects run out of the S4 facility at Area 51. And what they were trying to do, and I say look back in time, and some people conjure up images of a time tunnel, they're actually looking at distorting time in microseconds to see whatever event they were trying to observe through a gravitational lens.
Well, I mean, the only thing I could verify was what I had my hands on. There was talk of weapon systems, that there were different projects. Project Galileo, Project Sidekick was supposed to be weapon applications of the craft. Project Looking Glass had to do with time, any effects of time in the craft. Now, I don't think we're not talking about making a time machine like in science fiction, but we're talking about, small distortions, intentional distortions of time, and how that can be used, as a, not as a, well, it was part of a weapon program.
How are you informed in this?
These, again, were just the small briefings that I read. But again, I don't really like to talk about those because I don't have any information on them, and it was just, small briefings.
But you told Commander Fravor that what he saw might have been a time dilation and not
well, it could be
propulsion.
because gravity affects time, space-time. Yes. I'm sure you've heard of that. And, what Commander Fravor saw as he was in the F-18 approaching it, he said he described it as a ping-pong ball in a cup and shaking it back and forth. It was moving that fast. Now, obviously, if there's anything inside there, it's going to be battered to hell. But, my point was that, well, one of two things. Either there's a gravitational envelope in there which negates any inertia effects, or you are seeing through a gravity distortion field. So, just like you're looking at a hot highway and you see, like an optical distortion going through there. Well, the same thing happens in gravity.
And Bob Lazar's story has actually been corroborated by many people, including Dan Burish, who, while in the military, obtained the rank of captain in the United States Navy in 1989. and in 1991, he was sent to carry out his duties at a biological warfare unit. While he was there, he earned a presidential commendation for the services rendered on the ground. Anyway, Burrish seems to confirm Bob Lazar's testimony, and also affirms that Project Looking Glass is directly related to a series of projects. This includes the Sigma Project, aimed at establishing communications with aliens, Project Galileo, concerning propulsion systems, and this was the main research area of Bob Lazar, the Sidekick Project, which was related to beam weapon technology and the Star Wars program. And then we had the Looking Glass Project, related to space-time travel and Stargate technology. But the descriptions of what they physically see when using this technology is eerily similar across the board. They all describe a hole, or a time portal, that would appear right in the center of the Delta T antenna. It looked like a circular corridor, with a light at the other end. There are rumors that these devices only allowed viewing into the future up until December 21st, 2012. And after that date, there are two alternative timelines. After doing some research, I found that this is supposedly due to an ascension event in which humans become aware of the corruption and the lies. A new psychological paradigm comes into existence. As of December 21st, 2020, we enter the new age of Aquarius, moving on from Pisces. The grand astrological conjuncture of 2020, and this new age are supposedly signifying a change in the Earth's frequency. We will return to a new golden age of knowledge and understanding. We are supposed to move into a time of higher consciousness, and even move up from three-dimensional consciousness to a more evolved way of thinking. There are two interesting points related to these devices. First is that the solstice is considered a time where the veil between dimensions is thin. But the second, and I'm sure you may have felt this yourself, or you just heard people mention this, but we are witnessing a strange phenomenon. Many people have pointed out that they feel like the simulation is glitching out, or how we are in two different timelines. When talking about this, it is usually in the context of the political sphere. Half of the population believes one narrative, and the other believes it is all smoke and mirrors. Perhaps all of this is true, and we have diverted into two separate timelines. Some claim that the choice is on the individual, to awaken to the lies, then move on into the new consciousness, or grab onto the materialism and greed, and remain in the lower field of consciousness. So the speculation is that we have two choices now. The first, that the ascension event takes place, and every human on Earth becomes aware of the lies, the crimes, and from there, the horrendous actions of tyrannical leaders cannot continue. We return to a golden age of consciousness and prosperity. The second, the deep state forces a nuclear World War III in order to cling to power. They survive the aftermath in underground cities, waiting out the radiation poisoning. Now, I don't know what to think, because that would explain why so many rich and powerful people are currently buying property in remote locations, bunkers, and even underground facilities. These sort of coincidences keep popping up. For example, yesterday with the story regarding the Galactic Federation. The claim is that the United States and Israel have been working with extraterrestrials for decades, exchanging technology and working on experiments. And now, after looking into the origins of Project Looking Glass, we find out that the individual who worked with the Vatican simultaneously worked with Israel. A lot of strange facts are lining up, and some of the same names are associated. Make of that what you will. Once again, this is Helio Wave. If you like the content, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time.